Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Q&A with Dr. A Google Plus Hangout. We're so excited to have with us again today Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson, co-founder of Take Shape for Life. Dr. Anderson is a leader in obesogenic prevention and education and has helped hundreds of thousands of people have healthier lives. He is also a New York Times best-selling author with the book Discover Your Optimal Health. Before we get going with the specifics of this hangout, do you want to say hello to your viewers, Dr. A?
I would love, Deborah. Thank you and welcome everybody. You know, we're really excited. We live in a time, as Deborah said, what we call our obesogenic world, which means it seems like everything we do and everywhere we go, people are trying to feed us a lot of food, most of it unhealthy, and keep us from really moving our body as much as we would like. So what we're going to do today, we're going to really talk about a central theme. Deborah's going to introduce it. We've got some great people with great experience, but we're going to focus on, you know, kind of the way, the paradigm we grow up underneath. We kind of come into this world, and many of us that are a little older, when we were younger, processed food didn't exist, and most food was whole. Most people did not have a lot of resource other than people who were very wealthy. And so you were always told, eat everything on your plate. And we used to always kid around, well, put it in a box and send it over to the kids that needed it in the world. Well, you know, something was very wise for us because we did need that much nutrient. And since we didn't have a lot of calories when we were growing up, we needed to make sure we ate everything in order to grow and to thrive. Well, the world has changed and it's completely different now. And so today our topic is really our old paradigm, and the way we were designed biologically 10,000 years ago was to store and gather food. We never could get enough food. We never could get enough energy, and our bodies evolved 40 billion fat cells. So today, in the environment we're in now, the one thing we do have, we have excessive calories. Everything we're around is trying to get us to stop moving and using our muscles, all these energy-saving devices. And then the third part, Deborah, which I think is critical, is the stress level in our lives is very high. And it's almost like we have food, sugar, fat, unhealthy things for instant gratification, and we become a society that responds to our stress with food. So I think it's really important. This is a timely hangout, and I'm excited about sharing with everybody.
Oh, wonderful. You know, and this is our fourth hangout we've had with Dr. A, and we've covered so many different topics pertaining to all different kinds of things pertaining to exploring optimal health. And today's topic, just like Dr. A said, it has to do with the topic that really impacts all of us, and that is, you know, our ever-increasing problem of obesity in our country and our overall health of our children, and the kind of you know, culture we're creating for our children for this next generation. So, you know, and I just want to mention really quickly also that Dr. Anderson wrote a wonderful article on this topic. If you want to visit his blog on drwayneanderson.com, entitled "Be a Good Boy or Girl and Clean Your Plate." It's a wonderful article, so make sure you check that out. Yeah, and we received some great questions on this topic. We only have time to bring 3 people on, so let's get right into those. So first we have Megan Dorn from Scottsdale, Arizona, that has a great question. Are you there, Megan?
Yes. Hi, Dr. A. So nice to see you. Thanks for having me on. My story is about, you know, I come from a very loving home. You know, my parents were always good about, you know, showing my sisters and I love and affection, but sometimes they did that through the purchasing of things and buying of stuff, and sometimes that stuff came in the form of food. You know, one memory that I have is my dad taking us all out to dinner, and it was happy hour, and decided, oh, I'll just order one of everything on the happy hour menu, and expected my, you know, 2 of my sisters and I and my mom to eat it all. And, you know, sadly one of my sisters is a vegetarian, so she's already, you know, 86 on, you know, most of the items there. What can we do to help change the culture of this need to just provide in these obscure ways for the next generation?
Well, I think it's a great question, Megan, and thank you. Yeah, we use food for comfort, and it's used for comfort. It's used ritualistic. I mean, you look in some of the cultures, you know, everything revolves. You know, look at a good Italian family, and everybody's at the table, you know, eating, and that becomes the social interactive piece. So there's a lot of ingramming that has occurred in our brains since we're little. There's lots, you know, personally for myself, you know, in high school I was captain of my football team, and my girlfriend was the cheerleader and captain of the cheerleaders, and she would make chocolate chip cookies before every game, and they were warm, and I'd have them with milk, and it was kind of this really cool thing that had to do with, which we see, and with Valentine's Day, with chocolate and love, and where all these things become ingrained, they become a part of us, and we get comfort from it. A lot of times it's psychological comfort. So I think the really important thing, especially when we're working with our kids, is to reconnect at a individual level with each other as people in relations, because we end up using food to kind of create love, and in that essence, in this world we live in, unfortunately, most of our food creates way too many calories, and most of the food that we take people to do, most of these restaurants, like for kids, little kids take them to Chuck E. Cheese and these places, it's all the wrong food. So what I think the primary focus is to start with our kids and bring healthy food into the house, really reinforce for them, have lots of fruits. I mean, I know that my daughters, both my daughters, basically, they don't really like, when they have Halloween, even though that's a strong ritual, they don't eat the candy. They go out with their friends, they have fun with it, and then they bring the candy back, and then we usually give it to somebody we don't like. No, I'm kidding there. But the idea is that we really need to get back to family, especially with our kids, very early on, starting to train them what's important. The second part of that is it's attention. We use it's funny because we may give somebody something that I was at dinner last night, and I was watching around me all these people. Nobody was talking to me. They were all sitting there, on their iPhones, on their mobile devices, and there's no interaction. And one of the interesting things that we get from food, especially a lot of the foods that we give for special occasions, is they raise serotonin. They have lots of sugar in them. And what's really interesting, by paying attention and validating the people that are important to us, by talking to them, by being with them, by recognizing, making sure you're all there for them, those are much more powerful. We have Father's Day coming up real shortly here. And, all I really want, the girls, what do you want for Father's Day? Well, I just want to spend time with my kids. That's the cool thing. Let's hang out and let me get some special dad focus, and it's an opportunity for them to see that. I just wrote an article for a national magazine on what are the tips you would give as a father. And the most important one is make sure you're fully present for your kids. I mean, it's just more important than anything else, because right now the world is moving quickly. It's all about the digital expression, and it doesn't have the humanistic parts that are critical. And I got to tell you that by sitting there, my daughter came home. I was in the middle of a meeting late last night. She wanted to show me. She just got a special new skill in her cheerleading. They do some pretty complicated stuff. In fact, when she showed, I said, "Hey, Erica, I need to do this right now." She goes, "Oh, you don't care?" I said, "No, I do care. We'll get back to it." So then what I did is I made sure I did get back to it. I went and grabbed her 30 minutes later and said, "Come, show me that." So I honestly think sometimes we use food for the wrong reason. So the other thing is just to kind of put a bow in this, is when you are at ritualistic things like family gatherings, like Thanksgiving, or things like, you go to your mom's and your mom fixes this special hot fudge sundae or special pie or something, just make sure that your kids and you have eaten something before you go there. Make sure you've had a meal replacement or had something that will take care of your hunger, so you can get 95% of taste satisfaction comes in the first 3 bites. So you can still enjoy it, take a much smaller piece, share a piece. One of the things you can do if you're out somewhere, everybody get one dessert, get 4 or 5 spoons, and that way you're having a small amount of something that's satisfying, sit there together, and you're actually sharing it in a communal way, which is really pretty cool. So hopefully that was helpful.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, excellent question. So let's go on now. We have Cassie Shepard that has a great question. She's from Springville, Utah. Go ahead, Cassie.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Anderson, for having me on. So I am a new mother. I had twin girls about 10 months ago, and I'm really worried about setting them up for success with the type of environment that we live in. Seems like when I was growing up, and I see it all the time, is that children, they love to snack on unhealthy foods, and then they fill up and maybe don't eat some of their other meals. And so I'm just curious, what is a good way to promote healthy and well-balanced and appropriately sized meals for children?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Kathy, and it starts with you, and you know that, right? They're young. Yeah, we're very interesting creatures. We we're really creatures of taste preference and habit. So when we're very little, like they are right now, you set their taste profile. You actually set their taste preferences, and also again going back to Megan's question, talking about that is you set the rituals that make that happen. And the interesting thing with kids, and this is a pretty cool thing, is kids would not sit down and eat a big meal. They just wouldn't do it. In fact, if you notice, most of the time you get ready for dinner and they're not ready. They don't really want to eat because they snack 4 or 5 times. And actually, that's the way we were designed. We were designed as hunters and gatherers. We foraged all day long. We didn't have refrigeration. We didn't have storage mechanisms. So we had to actually take the food and eat it when you had it because it spoiled rapidly. And that's how we're designed. So your kid's natural tendency is to graze or to snack throughout the day. So one of the things we found that we really like, and we found to be very, very helpful for people, is to eat smaller meals throughout the day, eating every 3 hours. It's one of the key components to really the habits of health. So with that, what you can do is just make sure that, number one, you are making sure the food you bring in the house aren't the ones that have the all the iconic labels with them and these things that are processed, because kids are being exposed right away when they're little to all these commercials. And those commercials, they take these cartoons and they connect them directly to food, and so they then identify with that. So I think it's important to minimize their exposure to that. Or if you do go, if you're already at fast foods and that's all that happens to be around, then find something healthy for them. Or just if they really want the little animal that's quote on sale right now and their friends have it and the peer pressure's there, then you know what? Go there and buy a couple. Say, hey, I want to buy these. Don't give them the food. Give them the little icon, the little whatever the action figure is, and then move on. So it's going to take some effort, and I think that value is changing. But the most important thing, Kathy, is for you to make sure it's not in your house. If the underlying structure doesn't have it, and I'll make a direct analogy to where there is no convenience or choice, but your animals, if you happen to have dogs, if somebody has a obese dog, the reason why they have obese dog is because they're making that dog obese. And I take the analogy is the teaching great habits. So one of the things we learned, a simple little thing that we use with our Labrador Retrievers, which have genetically a constant appetite, they eat anything that's not nailed down. We take their food and now we take a can of green beans, right? Green beans, they have lots of water in them. They're large, it's bulk to it, and there's only 20 calories per can of those green beans that come in the can. So we give them that, they get the visual, they get the bulk, they get what they need, it fills them up, there's very few calories in it. So taking that analogy out, not that our kids are dogs, although I'd tell you a lot of people treat their dogs better than they do their kids, is that bottom line is find foods that are Rowley from the University of Pennsylvania, she did a lot of work on satiety. And satiety is the science of fullness. And if we look in terms, and in the Habits of Health I have, and also in Discover Your Optimal Health, I have some great charts that show energy density. And what we want to do, we want to focus on things that have low energy density. So the more water something has in it, the less its energy density. So when you want to buy things, that's why fresh vegetables and fruit, that's why things that are natural, most of those things are full of lots of water. They come in their natural state. They're not dehydrated. And so they give you an opportunity to fill up your kids, have enough taste profile, enough differentiation so they don't get taste fatigue. And you got to shake it up and have fun with it. So I think, make the meals like the big meal at night. I think it's a great time for you to sit down with your family and create almost that ritual. And the other thing about that ritual is don't put the food on the table. Make sure you serve it in the kitchen. Use smaller plates. Use a visual analog scale where you do 50% fruits and vegetables, 25% a healthy starch, and then 25% a healthy protein. And then fill the plate, bring the plate up, and the children will eat less. If the portion control you use in a 9-inch plate, they will eat less. And if there's less there's beautiful studies that have come out showing if kids are offered more, they eat more. So the whole idea is control that.
Great. Thank you so much. Those are great ideas.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Cassie. And excellent question. Okay, we have our last questioner. His name's Josh Golka, and he's from Roseville, California. Are you there, Josh?
I am here. Thanks.
Yeah. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thanks, Dr. A. Really great tips. I really appreciate the making sure that it's fun for the kids. And my wife and I have done a great job since we started taking our health a lot more seriously about understanding that we're not assuming that our kids don't want to eat healthy. And we were really shocked when we started on our health journey, when they asked us, why aren't we eating that, when it came to the salads and vegetables. And so that's one of the things we've really embraced. And we've also realized that they're going to eat what we buy. It makes it really easy in that regard. But with 4 school-age children, one of the things that we sometimes still struggle with is school lunches, parties, things like that. Do you have any tips for parents of school-age kids on how they can make their lunches for their kids healthier?
Yeah, actually, I think it starts off with part of the educational piece where you can actually use that teachable moment. One of the things I found to be profound, and we did this with our children. Actually, Lori did most of it because I am not the cook in the house. I can cut vegetables and boil water and make meal replacements. But I personally am not an expert in that, so I want to give you full disclosure. But what we did, and one of the things I really love, is that when our kids get ready, we get them up early enough in the morning or the night before, and we have them involved in the process. Because the first thing is, if you make something for a child and they go into school and they see the other kid's got a piece of pizza or Chick-fil-A or whatever, and they have something healthy, and they haven't taken ownership of it, what's going to happen is it's going to end up in the garbage. So the first thing is you need to make sure that it's something that they are doing and they want. So what's cool about that is create the ingredients, the things they like, ask them what things they like that are healthy. They do like things that are healthy, and then basically have them involved in the process. So if they're there in the preparation, number 1, take ownership in it. Number 2, they select the taste profiles that they want, and then when it's prepared like that, they're aware of it. It's something they're excited about. And when they go to school the next day, they can't wait for lunch. And they know what they're going to get, and it's their favorite. Like let's say they love I don't know, maybe they love something like a nectarine or something, a plum, or something that in their taste preference is great. So then they'll basically be excited about lunch. So that's a key part. And the second part about that is you're teaching them in preparation what are the healthy ingredients and what are the things to avoid. So I think that's a wonderful one, especially when you have 4 children. You could even make it into a fun little thing where they all get involved. Like cutting pumpkins, for Halloween. Everybody gets involved in it. Get them involved in it. Make sure they're there. And also selectively, I guarantee all 4 of your children have different taste preferences. And so even though they want to eat healthy, if you give one of them something that the other one doesn't like, you give them all the same thing, then they may not be healthy. So first of all, you want to awaken their desire for health, which you're doing. You eat healthy, you're helping other people create health in their life. Second thing is you want to find out what it is, what are their individual taste preferences. Third, you want them involved in the process so they know how to prepare these things. I would honestly, in the current state, I would not rely on the school menu to deliver health to your children. And what will happen is, by the way, if you find really cool things that are healthy and you make it fun for them, their friends will start wondering why are their parents spending so much time focusing on them, and it'll actually work in your favor.
Great, thanks, Dr. A.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Such great questions today. It's been awesome. We want to make sure we thank everybody for coming on here today and asking such great questions. Thank you, Cassie and Megan and Josh. And, of course, we want to thank Dr. Anderson for his expertise and time. And just wanted to mention, though, also before we close, that these Hangouts are really an amazing opportunity for you to get your questions answered. If you're just a curious viewer and you're interested in how you can make health a priority in your life, or if you're a client or a health coach on the program that Dr. Anderson oversees, make sure you visit these social media outlets here on Google+, Facebook, Twitter. Get your questions asked, and you can be on here as well to be able to ask your question directly to Dr. A. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Google+.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.